Well, we're glad to spend a couple more minutes with you today to talk about a new product and a problem solver and something we're very excited about to offer our customers. Something very important in the life of making horsepower, the Gen 3 Hemi and a positive displacement belt-driven blower on it. And we started with our friend the tensioner and how important the tensioner was and how great, this factory Hellcat one originally was and how we made it work for quite some time with some tricks up our sleeve that we're going to talk a little bit. And then unfortunately, that was replaced by the factory with this lower function, lower capability, lower cost unit that works great on Hellcats and from the factory and cars from the factory, but isn't so good when you push it in a high performance environment. So then we developed our tensioner, which there's a long 15-minute video showing the difference between these. So today's not about the tensioner, it's about the supporting actor, the very important supporting actor, the tensioner bracket. The tensioner bracket bolts to the front of the engine. And when you bolt this to the front of the engine, it provides a solid mounting location for our tensioner. And you can see the tensioner has an alignment pin, and that aligns with one of the holes. And that worked quite well for some time as we started to develop these engines in 2015 and 2016. But in 2016, as we were pushing the boundaries of the Whipple superchargers, I think we were the first guy to run the 2.9 liter, the first guy to run the 3 liter on Gen 3 engines, using Tony Bischoff's team to help develop these engines. We discovered that when we got to a certain point, even with this good Hellcat tensioner, the original one, that there was a limit on the range, and to really make it work and to have that belt stretch and maintain tension, we needed to do something. And of course, we couldn't develop our own tensioner very quickly. There weren't very many good offerings that had a wider range of motion, which was really our issue. And so what we came up with was we took this stock tensioner bracket and we modified it. And you can see these tensioner brackets look a lot alike, except there's an extra hole in this one, way back from 2016 when we drilled that hole to make that work on the Blackbird. In fact, this came off the Blackbird, and it's been there for a long time doing its job. And that extra hole allows you to preload the tensioner in one direction further and to go ahead, even if you have a limited range tensioner. This was limited, this was massively limited, to try to help it make it work. It was a great idea and it worked. And we're not the only guys that have great ideas. Other people apparently saw that same idea or came up with it. And an aftermarket bracket became available, which is made out of billet. And that aftermarket bracket actually had 5 adjustment holes in it. And that provided you 5 places to put it. And we used this bracket. In fact, it was on our engine at PRI. We started to ship our tensioners, and people had these brackets on engines and immediately called us and said, "We love your tensioner, but we really like our adjustable bracket, and we can't use the last couple holes on the bracket because your tensioner is so big it hits the front cover." Now, we had seen this bracket and obviously used it and liked it, thought it did its job well, but we now understood that we had to have different hole locations to really work and have that same full range of motion with the aftermarket adjustable bracket with our aftermarket tensioner. We had to develop our own tensioner bracket. So we thought, if we're going to develop our own tensioner bracket, let's see if we can make it better and make it better for our intended purposes. Now, it's not better for everybody. Quite frankly, this works fantastic for most people. This do-it-yourself at home for $10 option works pretty darn good. Got us a long way, including into the 7s. And this even better bracket, which is available, made out of billet, will even take you further. So why did we need more? Well, because we needed to make the adjustment such that we could make the adjustment and not hit the Hellcat front cover or other stock front covers. And we wanted to make some improvements and to see if we couldn't offer a cost-effective bracket that had several improvements in it. So we are now offering, and very proud to offer, this bracket. Now, what's different about this bracket? When you look at them all, you'd say, the common observer would say they're pretty much all the same, but they are quite a bit different. They serve the same purpose, but they do different things, and of course their cost is different and what they can do is different. What you understand if you design things and make things for a living is that a die cast, when you make a die cast part, you have certain design elements you include because you're paying for the aluminum you leave behind. You're not paying for the aluminum you take away. When you make a billet part, you start with the same block of aluminum for these 2 parts, and you pay for all that aluminum, and then you pay on top of that to machine it away. When you make this part, this die cast part, you pay for the aluminum that goes in the mold and stays in the mold. So you take out as much aluminum as you can to lower the cost of this part while maintaining its strength. When you switch to a billet design, you can also take out material. As you can see in this aftermarket bracket, they've taken out material. They made this very light. In fact, this part is about 2 ounces heavier than this billet part. And this billet part is stronger because billet is stronger than cast. And you can take advantage of that and make the design different so you can take weight out of it. And weight reduction in a race car is a big thing. So this bracket served us well for many years. But when we ran into this problem, we thought, well, how could we make it better? And how would we design a bracket for the widest range of use, including the most extreme racing uses all the way to a guy in the street car? So we wanted to have that same range of adjustment with our tensioner, and even better, when you use our tensioner or anybody else's tensioner on one of our race front ends that doesn't have the same space constraints as the Hellcat front end, you can use all 7 adjustments on this. So we've added more adjustments. That's one of the things. You can see we didn't machine out certain metal, and we didn't change the shape of, we moved a long way away from the shape of this die cast part, because when you make billet, and if you want to make it low cost, you design it for the fastest tool paths, the most material removed quickly, and you don't take out material if you don't need to. And so our bias was to make it very stiff, very rigid, and if it's a little heavier, we're okay with that, especially if we can offer it a lower cost. So this part actually weighs 4 ounces more than this part. So a quarter pound heavier than this part. It weighs 2 ounces more than this. So a quarter pound heavier than this option, which is a lighter option, plenty strong. This is more rigid because we've left all that material in there, but it's also heavier. So this is the product we're offering. We're very excited to begin offering now. And we're excited about it for a couple reasons, because we love to try to bring value to our customers and solve their problems. And if they're using our products and telling us we have a problem, we want to solve that for them. So we're glad to have this bracket to pair with our tensioners. Better yet, we're glad to sell it to you for $119 separately. But even a more smoking deal, you can buy both the tensioner and the bracket complete as a kit for $649. So $100 more on top of your tensioner gets you both the tensioner for $549 and the bracket combined for $649. We can offer this in black anodized or aluminum, and you can buy a pair, which is matching our black anodized tensioner with a black anodized bracket, or you can buy aluminum with aluminum, or mix and match if you choose. So for various reasons, we wanted to offer these wider selections of tensioner brackets. We think all these have their purpose. This is the lowest cost and very effective from a lot of people. This is, a modified do-it-yourself at home for $10 or whatever you spend drilling an extra hole in there. This is one available today. It's light, it's plenty strong. This is one that we're now offering that has this wider range of adjustment. We've done some simple things, like we made these little bumps on the outside that align with the dowel pinhole, so you can easily look at it, see where you're at when you've adjusted it. And some other features that we added. Of course, it's quite a bit different shape than these, and stronger because all that material is still in there, but it is heavier. So we're offering that today. We're excited to it. We're going to show you a couple little videos to show you how this causes a problem, the adjustable bracket on a Hellcat front end, but also on a race car front end, how you can use this entire range with our tensioner and you have the most adjustability, and we feel like one of the highest performing belt drive systems out there. Okay. So this is one of the problems we were trying to address with our bracket, is that when you take our big tensioner, which is very large and barely fits on, with the stock Hellcat front end cover, is that when you rotate it around to all the adjustment holes, several of them work great. But when you get to these last couple holes, you can see this spring, which sticks out of our large tensioner, hits the front cover. So those last couple of extra adjustment holes that are provided by the other adjustable brackets out there, you can't use those. You can use those on our race front end. You can use all of those. So we like having more range. So then we added more up here where you can use the range of adjustment effectively on the other side. So we've added, ones that work there all the way around, except you can't use the last two. So you have 5 you can use with a stock Hellcat cover, and with a race front end or a simplified front end that you might remove some of this from for a race car, you can use the entire range, which is very useful in many applications where you're playing with different belts, different pulleys, and you want the ultimate range of adjustment. Okay, one of the things that when we came up with this design, we decided was in our race cars that utilize our front covers, our weight reduced simplified front covers, there's nothing in the way over here. So more range of adjustments, actually even better. So you can see on our race car with our race front ends, with our blower drive stuff, that bigger range just provides you a greater range of adjustability with different pulley lengths and different belt lengths. And we can easily accommodate that with these race front ends. So we wanted to have the wider range for purposes like this. So thank you, and thanks for all the customers who bought our tensioner. For everybody who called and said, hey, this bracket doesn't work with ours, we have a bracket that will work with yours. And for everybody else that wants an aftermarket bracket, we're now offering another option for you.